Welcome, everyone. Today we are exploring The Diary of a CEO by Steven Bartlett, a serial entrepreneur who built companies worth over $1 billion before age 30. Steven is the host of Europe's top business podcast, where he has spent over 700 hours interviewing world leaders and neuroscientists. This presentation distills his 33 enduring laws into actionable lessons. We will move beyond temporary strategies to look at the fundamental psychology-rooted laws that dictate long-term greatness in both business and life. Greatness is not a stroke of luck. It is an architecture built on 4 essential pillars: the self, the story, the philosophy, and the team. The self is your foundation, focusing on self-awareness and mastery over your own potential. The story is your weapon for influencing others through the currency of humanity. The philosophy defines the fundamental beliefs that guide your decision-making. Finally, the team is about scaling your vision by culturally binding the right people. Law 1 defines your professional potential through 5 interconnected buckets: knowledge, skill, network, resources, and reputation. Crucially, you must fill them in this specific order. Applied knowledge becomes a skill, which makes you valuable to others, expanding your network and resources, and finally earning you a reputation. Never prioritize a job for resources like cash if it offers far less knowledge. While an earthquake can wipe out your network or resources, your knowledge and skills can never be unlearned. To master any craft, you must create an obligation to teach it. This follows the Feynman technique. Research a topic thoroughly, then simplify and share it as if teaching a child. Simplification is the path to and proof of true understanding. By sharing ideas publicly, you create a social contract that provides feedback and forces consistency. Remember, you don't become a master because you retain knowledge. You become a master when you are able to release and simplify it for others. In marketing, normality is ignored. Absurdity sells. Law 10 highlights that wallpaper, safe, practical, and blending in, leads to indifference, which is the most expensive outcome in business. To be heard, you must bypass the brain's habituation filter by telling stories in unconventional ways. Bartlett used a 13,000-pound office slide to generate more publicity than a sales team ever could. Fight for the first 5 seconds of attention and be willing to piss people off to engage the right 20% of your audience. Value is not an objective reality. It is a perception shaped by expectations and framing. Law 13 encourages psychological moonshots, tiny, superficial changes to framing that radically alter value, like how Tesla calls plastic seats vegan leather to maintain luxury status. Counterintuitively, Law 14 shows that friction can create value. For example, making customers cook their own steak on a hot stone increases their perceived effort and satisfaction. Don't just improve reality, invest in shaping how people perceive it. Law 21 is simple. You must out-fail the competition. Failure equals feedback, and feedback equals power. To innovate, you must experiment faster than everyone else. However, humans often act like the ostrich, burying their heads to avoid uncomfortable truths. To win, you must burn your plan B. Research shows that having a backup plan dilutes your commitment and performance on your primary goal. Stop avoiding pre-mortem questions. Accept reality immediately to innovate rapidly. Discipline is not a mystery. It is a calculation based on goals, rewards, and friction. The equation is discipline equals the value of the goal plus the reward of the pursuit minus the cost of the pursuit. If you are struggling, don't just try harder. You must mathematically intervene by elevating the perceived value of your goal or increasing the daily joy of the work. Simultaneously, reduce the friction or cost of the task. Ultimately, your discipline is driven by a deep awareness of your limited time on Earth. Every company is fundamentally a recruitment company. When faced with a new challenge, your ego asks, "How can I do this?" leading to bottlenecks and burnout. Your potential, however, asks, "Who is the best person to do this?" This allows you to leverage expert skills you lack. As Steve Jobs said, hire smart people so they can tell you what to do. Focus on finding A players with rare complementary skills rather than trying to become a mediocre all-rounder yourself. Culture determines a team's success. When culture is strong, new people become like the culture. When weak, the culture becomes like the new toxic people. Use the 3 bars framework. Are they bar raisers, bar maintainers, or bar lowerers? Bar lowerers are thieves in the night who steal your team's energy and spread misconduct like a virus. Just as Sir Alex Ferguson moved on star players who challenge the team ethos, you must fire toxic influences immediately to protect your collective energy immediately. The most rewarding feeling in the world is a sense of forward motion. Law 31 urges you to leverage the power of progress by celebrating small wins. Massive victories are simply the result of 1% marginal gains, the method that transformed British cycling into Olympic champions. As a leader, you must be inconsistent. Adapt in your style to be whatever shape is needed to complete an individual's motivation. Finally, remember Law 33, learning never ends. Keep your knowledge bucket constantly overflowing.
The compounding path to greatness. To conclude, greatness is a deliberate architecture built on the 4 pillars we've discussed: the self, the story, the philosophy, and the team. Success isn't found in complex strategies, but in fundamental psychological laws. It begins by filling your 5 buckets in the correct order, mastering your self-story, and embracing failure as essential feedback. By focusing on 1% marginal gains and a bar-raising culture, you create sustainable excellence. As Steven Bartlett emphasizes in Law 33, learning never ends. Your potential is limitless if you keep your knowledge bucket overflowing. Now, take these laws and start building. Thank you for your attention.